Hello, everybody, and welcome back, students watching. Today is another activity lesson. It is history, so we'll be back traveling in a few countries later on. But first, you need to see which countries I am talking about. The first country we'll travel to is called Old Italy or Italy. The second country we'll travel to is Kenya. And the third country that we'll travel to is Egypt. So now those are the countries that we'll travel to. First, let's start from the country of Italy. Well, as you could see, Italy is a type of country called a peninsula. What is a peninsula? It is different from a country called peninsula. It is peninsula. A peninsula is a piece of land that is circled around by three sides of water and one side that has been hooked to the land. And as you could see, Italy is like the shape of a boot. So we have Sicily is also a part of Italy, and Sardinia is also a part of it. So Italy kicking Sicily and Sardinia is the player from the outside. Like a woman's high heels kicking a ball. Understand? Now, I want you to find out some places that we'll be traveling to inside Italy. We're gonna be traveling to Venice. Venice is a big city in Italy. We're also gonna get to visit the canals and ride in the gondola. Pisa is another famous city. So now, let's get it back. First, let's start with a basic old building. It is called the Colosseum. Do you know where is the Colosseum? When the Colosseum was still new, it is in Rome. Rome is also a basic city in Italy. So now, a long time ago, it was used as a cathedral and a small, simple battlefield. But now it is used for tourists, like tour guides, so we could see things from the past, like how did they build it a long time ago and how did they have the structure and stuff. So this is it, the Colosseum. Now I said we're gonna visit the canals, and we are going to visit the canals if I said so. The canals are basically waterways from one part of the city to the other. So people usually travel in long, thin boats. The canals reach loads of places, from place number 1 to place number 2 or stuff. And the special boats that we use are in the next few pictures. But now let's look at pictures of the canals. You can see canals could also be a water market. Water markets are basically the boats that have food in them. And the food is sold in markets. People go out in the markets using boats, to be able to fish and maybe get some fish as well. One really beautiful canal is the Panama Canal. It is also a market. So now we're talking about the canals in Italy. But some other canals like Amsterdam and stuff, it doesn't matter to this lesson. So now the special boat we're going there is called the gondola. The gondola is a thin boat that travels through the waterways of the canal. So now the gondola can be really big or really small. But the gondola is a really small boat. Sometimes water buses take their place because they also have water buses in gondola. In Italy. So they use these boats to travel long distances in water, or maybe get a circle tour of the city. Sometimes the traditional gondola ride can go through a really small bridge. So that's why they have to get their heads down if they want to cross it. So you see, in Italy, canals are just the old ways of delivering things. Now let's look at a tower in a really famous city called Pisa. It is called the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Because the land around Pisa is not really hard, so that's why it's kind of like it tilts every day. It tilts more every year. You could take a photo of yourself like pushing the Tower of Pisa to be untilted like this. Or this. Because it's tilted this way, like this. When it's first built, it is not tilted. And then it tilts more and tilts more until it crashes down to the ground 70 years later. So now we've finished our trip to Italy. Now we're gonna go all the way to Kenya. We're going to another continent because Kenya is in Africa. So now do you know where will we land our airplane? Where? We will land our airplane in the most famous place there. It is the Nairobi airport. It is basically the biggest airport in Kenya and in the capital city as well. So now, do you know, if you see the Nairobi airport, it looks kind of different in a few pictures. Why? Because in the first place, the Nairobi airport looks like a long, thin, half-cutted piece of wood. But because of a wildfire occurring at the Nairobi airport. Do you know why there's a wildfire there? This is because one of the plane's engine exploded. So now that's why now it looks like today's airport. It looks nicer, by the way. It looks like it looks like an eye with a smiley face because they built it again. Normal, it is a long egg shape, but now it is an X to have the planes there. Now, I want you to see Nairobi City. The Nairobi airport is in Nairobi City. In Nairobi City, there are also really tall skyscrapers. Not a building left that isn't tall. There are only a few things like museums and stuff that aren't very tall. There are loads of tall buildings there as well. And in the grasslands of Kenya, there are animals like the rhino. Let me see. And if you go to Game Watchers Safari in Kenya, you might see some things that are really awkward, like an inks. You might see a water buffalo. Why does it show up in Africa? It is a traditional animal of Vietnam, not in Africa. Then there's the lion you could see in Game Watchers Safari. Then you could see leopards, rhinos, and also you might see leprechauns. A leprechaun might sound a little strange to you. Inks as well. An inks is basically a cat plus a tiger, but small sized. And a leprechaun is a type of wild animal. It is basically like a deer, but a leprechaun can jump really high if it's on a mountain. You might also see African wolves, elephants, and the great one-horned rhino. Loads of animals. Now I want to say to you that there are also weird-looking animals there. Do you know why I say weird-looking animals there? Because some animals, this animal shows a body of a brown cow with white stripes of zebra and long horns of a mountain goat. What is this strange animal? Body of a brown cow, stripes of a zebra, and, horns. Now we're gonna move to a really ancient place. It's called Ancient Egypt. Now, Ancient Egypt is basically decked out to look like a colorful city, because now people that aren't Egyptians are living there. In ancient Egypt, there are pyramids and sphinx that we will talk about later. There's also plant life in Egypt. Somewhere along the line, if you see pyramids, that means that you will see plant life. It's not an illusion. And Egyptians speak their own language. Sometimes there will be a river. What are the two rivers? A canal and a river. The Nile River is one of the rivers there. It is the longest river in the It is a really long river. So this river stretches. Now, people expect the Nile River to flood. And now the Suez Canal is another type of river. It was dug millions of years ago. It was dug millions of years ago, and it is not really deep. So that's why another ship got stuck in the Suez Canal. So now let's go back talking about pyramids, Great Sphinx, and pharaohs. So first let's start with pyramids. Now what is a pyramid? Well, a pyramid is basically a big sort of building that is about not really tall, and it is made out of wooden bricks. Second of all, it is guarded by a monster called the Great Sphinx, or just a piece of rock. Now, this piece of rock has a head of a human body, a body of a lion, and the wings of an eagle. What is a pharaoh? A pharaoh is the king of the Egyptians. So we've talked about the Suez Canal and the Nile River. Sometimes people go diving in the Suez or the Nile. So now we're going to talk more about them. Italy. We will fly over more of the beautiful Alps on our way to visit Italy. It is shaped like a boot. The big island at the toe of Italy is also a part of a country. It looks like the boot kicking what? A football. This is the Colossal that I showed you. Venice is a city of little rivers instead of streets. The rivers are called canals, so that's why I said it is a transportation there. So that's why the land around the Leaning Tower isn't hard. As we travel down to Kenya, we may see Lake Victoria. It is Africa's largest lake. Now, watch carefully for antelope, elephants, giraffes, lions, cheetahs, and zebras. We may also see ostriches and flamingos. Near the water, we might find crocodiles and hippopotamuses. As we leave Kenya, I hope we see Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest mountain in Africa. Now, do you know where are the pharaohs buried? They're all buried in the Great Pyramids. Pyramids are huge stone structures. They're square at the bottom with four smooth sides and a point at the top. So that's it. So now we're gonna go visit Japan and the country of Australia later on. So see you next time.